Hi, everyone. Today is Wednesday, July 29th. Welcome to eMarketer's weekly retail show, Reimagining Retail, where we talk about how retail collides with every part of our lives. I'm your host, Suzy Davidkhanian, and on today's episode, we're back with our Unofficial Monthly Retailer Awards. Yes, the UMRAs. Let's see who stood out this month. Joining me, we have podcast regulars, Becky Schilling. Hey, Becky.
Hello, I am so ready.
I am too. Bring it on. We also have Blake Droesch. Hey, Blake.
Hello, it's good to be back.
Thanks for joining us. And for her first pod, Karen Jacobs. Hey, Karen.
Hello, I'm the newbie.
We're so excited to have you. So, as a reminder, here's how it works. Each month, we're handing out awards to the retailers that we think really nailed it in a few areas. So, we've got three categories: most impactful campaign, best in real life initiative, and the greatest under the radar move. Becky, Blake, and Karen each brought a nominee for July, and I get to pick the winner based on how convincing their case is. And if we all remember from every month we do this, I can be easily swayed.
Truth.
Okay, that was for you, Becky, just so you know. And I really loved some of yours, just so everybody knows the playing field is not even, but it is also very even because I can be swayed. So let's get started. Number one award is for the most impactful campaign. The marketing idea that broke through the noise, it resonated, it was memorable, and it was performance driving. And the nominations are, Becky, let's start with you.
So my nomination is Nike, their Rip the Script. And I know what you're thinking. It's Nike. They put 30 celebrities in a 6-minute video. How impactful, how different is this from something that they've done? But here's why it's different. It wasn't just a commercial. It was the opening scene of this whole season, which was the FIFA World Cup. Nike built out their entire football universe. There were capsule drops, Lego tie-ins, street play pushes, all kinds of things. But Rip the Script was their trailer. Had 50 million YouTube views in 1 week. They were still rolling out content all throughout this past weekend's final. Also, Ted Lasso had an appearance, which I'm sorry, but in my book wins all the time. This was CEO Elliot Hill's whole turnaround bet. Football was or soccer, so sorry, is one of the 5 pillars of Nike's comeback. And writing on this one campaign gave it legs for an entire tournament. It's not just a big ad, it's a big bet.
So I don't know if you guys saw it is 6 minutes. It is literally 6 minutes. I tried to see if they turned it into a 30-second spot. It wasn't. I watched almost every game. I didn't see the spot in real life, though they don't really have a lot of commercials. But it was so good. Did anybody else watch it?
It was chaos in the best way.
It was, and then I didn't understand what Kim Kardashian was doing in the ad, but you know what? It doesn't matter. What I think that is maybe even more important is that it was tied into so many other things. But as you've already said, is this something new or are they just repeating what they've always been doing, Becky?
I think it's slight of a repeat. Like, obviously, it's Nike. They always have big celebrity and big names because that's what Nike's been built off as these big athletes and the endorsements. But I think the bringing in some of the outside actors, and Kim Kardashian agreed, not sure why she was there, but it added a little bit of intrigue. But it also kind of felt like it was a movie script, but it was also kind of like a music video. And it was very interesting. And they cut it up in social clips. And it was just kind of this big kickoff to this entire campaign that they did.
It was definitely an interesting way to be part of a global cultural moment.
Yeah.
Blake, who do you have?
I have Gap with their 90s nostalgia campaign that features Hailey Bieber. I guess it's not necessarily that the campaign wowed me. It's just that had Gap not taken the opportunity to try to cash in on the 90s nostalgia trend, they would be just sort of the biggest fools in marketing. So I think the fact that they did it and executed it well is worthy of an accolade this month. The whole baggy jeans 90s trends are just really in right now with Gen Z. So if you are Gap, a retailer that has been desperately trying to become relevant again, why would you not highlight an era of nostalgia for which you were relevant. Probably the last decade that Gap was actually cool. So I think the fact that they got a sort of Gen Z celebrity, Gen Z is the generation that's really driving this 90s nostalgia campaign or this 90s nostalgia trend. It fits really, really well together. And I think that it's better for them to sort of go back to basics, go back to what they know, than to try to make a big splash with a marketing campaign that is not on brand. This is 100% on brand for Gap. The other thing that I think was interesting is I don't know if you guys remember, but I think it was earlier this year we did a podcast about Gap hiring a chief entertainment officer, which we kind of like speculated like, what does this mean? Is this something new or is it going to be different from a chief brand officer? This was sort of like being rolled out as sort of a new or sort of an initiative behind the chief entertainment idea. I'm not really impressed from that point of view. I think it is still at the end of the day just sort of a celebrity-led campaign, but I think it's a good one and I think it's good for the brand.
Like, I think it's really interesting because Gap has been leaning into the momentum of the 90s nostalgia. So it's kind of like nothing new. It's just that they brought what could arguably be a very relevant person to try and get them back onto the radar. But do you think it's enough for them to move product? Like, how is their product looking?
I think, like, yeah, you make a good point that this is not, they're not reinventing the wheel, but I think, sometimes in brand marketing, it's a long-term play and you need to sort of keep building on what you've already, the groundwork that you've already laid. And I think that this is a pretty good effort. In terms of like moving their merchandise, it's tough, right? Because I think Gap has sort of, in the last several years become more of a place where people to go to get sort of their staples, not necessarily buy the latest fashion trends. So they are positioning this campaign as a way to sort of win back some of that, those more sort of fashion forward dollars, from particularly from younger shoppers. And I think that remains to be, seen how successful they're going to be. I don't think they're barking up the wrong tree by taking this strategy.
I don't either. I think Gap is still a hip brand, actually. And it's an all-American brand and it's on the way back. So
Yeah, and I think like it's still a brand that has a ton of like household recognition. The stores are still around, at least, where I live. Like, you typically like you can get to a Gap if you need to. But I think that they are going through a little bit of an identity crisis where they really, want to retain their sort of their place in fashion as sort of a really, really trend-setting brand that, I think they've lost a little bit of it in recent years, and they're really like using this as a moment to get back in there.
It's true because I think of them as a basics brand versus a fashion brand. So it is an important distinction to try and find ways to latch on to cool factor so that you can be a fashionable brand.
Hmm.
Karen,
But
who's on your Oh,
is
no, go
that what
ahead.
they're doing though? I mean, it
They're
just feels kind of like a Sydney Sweeney, like we're
minus the
just kind of
controversy.
when just kind of like the celebrity, and we're gonna put all our eggs in this jeans basket, and this is gonna be our ad campaign. And it just kind of feels a little bit like maybe we're just riding the coattails of somebody else who it worked for.
I don't know. It feels like Becky's really gunning for the win over here, but let's see what Karen has as her nominee.
well, speaking of refreshing brands, which is what Gap is trying to do, I also chose as my winner Farmers Insurance, which has embarked on a major brand refresh. Insurance is a difficult category in which to stand out. The products can feel complicated, and many of the ads start to blend together. Farmers tried to confront that problem with its new Honesty is Our Policy platform. It replaced its familiar red, white, and blue look with a striking pink identity. It introduced more straightforward messaging and flipped its famous "We are farmers" jingle to "You have farmers." It's a small change in wording, but an important one.
Karen, I really appreciate that you sang the jingle for us. And because of that, you have an in perpetuity, I don't know if that's the right word, invitation to come back to any UMRAs where you will sing another jingle. My question to you, though, is because I saw those commercials and I was like, is this just a spoof moment in time or is this a rebrand that is lasting, the pink? Do you know?
Well, I mean, time will tell. The campaign really just kicked off, but it seems that the company is trying to move the focus from the company to the customer. I'll also add that they are moving on from a longtime spokesman, J.K. Simmons, and trying to preserve some of the humor associated with the brand.
I mean, it was they're definitely funny, the ads. I don't know if you guys have seen them. They're running on TV now. They're funny, but I don't know. For me, it was just like the same in pink. I guess it was so subtle, the jingle change, that I didn't catch it.
Yeah, I wondered if people would think the use of the color pink was odd, but I I thought about it some more and I think, well, that's what makes it novel and definitely allows it to stand out, especially among insurers. I thought this campaign was compelling because of the scale of the reinvention. The company didn't discard everything that people know about the farmers, but it changed enough to perhaps garner another look from people.
Thank you guys for your nominees. I'm surprised nobody talked about Aeropostale and their intern diaries because we've been spending so much time talking about microdramas and thinking about how do you use creators in a more quote unquote authentic way. The winner of our first award, the most impactful campaign, goes to Becky for Nike. Because I actually think that despite it being 6 minutes and that being outrageously long, they were able to do so many things around that commercial that tied into this movement, that it felt very holistic. And it was like the star-studded, including, did you guys see that Zoltan was in it? Like the whole thing was ridiculous. But I think it's because of all the ancillary things that they did that it really did make it for an impactful campaign. Well done.
Thank you. I got blanked last time, so I feel redeemed.
Was Nike an official FIFA sponsor?
They weren't, which is what made it even more impactful.
Awesome. Now on to award number 2, Best in Real Life Initiative. This is the in real life move that got people off their screens and into stores, creating an experience worth checking out. And the nominations are Blake. Who do you have on your list?
For this one, I'm going to go with Aldi for opening up a store in Times Square, which I think is an interesting move for a grocer. You don't typically hear about grocery stores opening up like flagship stores in the crossroads of the universe. But as a grocery store that is making a big push to get into the US market, it is a great marketing opportunity for them, particularly as they are expanding to areas of the country like the Midwest and West that typically get a lot of tourists coming to New York City. So if you are a tourist from one of these areas and you're staying at a hotel near Times Square, you see an Aldi, you see it as an opportunity to go into the store, check it out, see how great and clean it is and well stocked it is. And then you go home and realize that they've just opened up a store near where you live. That's a great way to get the word out and get new customers. So I think it was a very interesting move for a grocery retailer to do the old Times Square flagship move.
I have so much to say about this. I looked at the pictures. It looks identical to a big box Aldi. And I thought with the tourists, you were going with like all the Europeans that are coming and staying in Times Square. And the timing was perfect with the World Cup, this influx of Europeans who are familiar with the brand.
Hmm.
might actually end up going there and buying their favorite private label stuff that they can't get anywhere else.
That's really interesting. I didn't even think about that, but probably also true. I think there has obviously been, all these opened up hundreds of new stores in the US over the last couple of years. So I was thinking that it was a play at the US tourist market, but
It's
yeah, I
interesting.
think
It could
maybe
be any.
also a good way to show how much reach they have now for all of the Europeans who came over
Yeah.
and, found an Aldi, their home grocery store right in the middle of Times Square.
Also very technical, but there aren't enough grocery stores in Midtown. And so I'm sure that there was also room for there to be a grocery store over there. What I don't understand, because I'm very literal, is how is this an in real life move? Is that because they were doing giveaways and things?
Well, the store exists in real life.
Got it.
So I
Instead
thought
of
it was
shopping
I
on your
thought it was
screen,
fair game. Yeah,
they did do opening day exclusive. So that could have been your in real life play.
there we go. So I mean, whether you say it or I say it, Susie, I think it still counts
It
toward it
still
being the
counts.
winning idea.
Though, Karen, what's yours?
My idea was Skylark, which is the Justin Bieber brand that's primarily online. But for a few days, it created a place in New York City, a pop-up where fans could go and experience in person. According to reports, people lined up overnight. It was a site in around the block in the meatpacking district. And inside, there was apparel, footwear, sneakers, and along with tech-enhanced mirrors, specialty drinks, and other details that made the place feel like more than a temporary store. I think this is what a strong in real life activation should do, offer some scarcity, discovery, and a sense of community.
And brilliantly timed because for anybody who watched the first ever halftime show, he had a song. It's almost like obviously they knew exactly what they were doing, and that drove more people to the space. Becky, who do you have?
Well, mine is also going to be a pop-up in New York City, but is Lego, a giant Lego. So for those of you who saw the Lego ad that went viral with Messi and Ronaldo and other stars building the trophy on their social media, they took that and they actually built it in July. It was in the Rockefeller Plaza. It was 27 feet high. It was made out of more than 1 million Legos. It was open. It was free to the public. It really was this focal point where fans from all over the world could gather around this huge trophy and watch the game. There was nothing to buy. It was all about bringing people together in community and kind of furthering all of these activations that Lego had been doing during the World Cup.
And they had a fan zone. And so, like, I had friends who came in from England and their kids wanted to go there and like see and touch things. And for those of you who don't know, there's a Lego store right around the corner. So, of course, there was probably some like a spike in sales or a halo effect. I really love this sort of how do you take a global moment, attach a brand to it, and make it into like a participatory thing versus a sales thing.
I'm sorry, but tourists are going to go see this over the Aldi in Times Square.
Well, to be fair, this is the only one I saw in real life, but that is not why I am picking our best in real life initiative, the Lego. But I mean, I don't know if you guys saw that World Cup Lego gigantic cup was amazing. Truly, truly
The
amazing.
pictures are look it up. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, it seems like the color, the gold color might be a little off, but maybe they were going for old gold.
I think it was Lego gold, but I'm not sure.
I
In
don't
any
know.
event,
Maybe we need to strip it of its accolade if it's inauthentic.
guys, I didn't realize that winning an award was such a big deal. I'm so
It's a big
excited.
deal.
My competitive edge is like moving. I have ripple effects. Okay, guys, off to our third greatest under the radar move, the smart play that didn't make the headlines but quietly moved the business forward. Give me your pitch in a minute or less. The nominees, starting with you, Karen.
My under the radar selection is tailored brands. Now, this is the parent of Men's Warehouse, Jose Bank, K&G. They've announced that they're going to file an IPO, but also in that announcement was that their plan to add more than 500 stores over the next decade. That includes 250 Men's Warehouse, 200 Jose Banks, and 50 K&G stores. Now, the company currently operates more than 1,000 stores, and it is rebuilding its business after closing hundreds of locations and entering bankruptcy in 2020. So just 6 years ago. The store plan might be more consequential because it is a bet that physical retail still matters in menswear, particularly for formal events and clothing that customers want altered. 500 stores isn't going to crop up overnight, and of course, execution will matter. But if the company gets these locations, the formats and the assortments right, I think this expansion could substantially increase its reach.
It's interesting because for me, originally, like the news was all about the IPO. So it truly was under the radar, the idea that
Yeah.
they're opening more stores. I think the underlying, not, I don't know that most people believe the store is dead, but what I don't know is, and this is the question mark and the bet they're making is, are people really getting dressed up as often? And when you buy a tux, do you need to keep buying it? And is the wedding business the back to office? Like, has the dress code changed again significantly that they can absorb so many more stores when they already have such a large fleet? It'll be interesting to see what happens. Becky, who's yours?
So mine is Bath and Body Works. They launched a new fruit fusion line in July, and while everyone's talking about the celebrity ambassador and creative partner Hilary Duff, the real under the radar move is with a completely different retailer, which is Amazon. So these products are available at Bath and Body Works in their stores and online, but it's also the first time where they are debuting this product on their Amazon storefront. So you've got this mall era brand that spent years treating Amazon like it was the enemy, and they're quietly using their biggest celebrity moment of the year to test and see whether they can actually win on Amazon.
So, Becky, did they launch only in Amazon or did they launch like both everything at the same time?
Everything at the same time.
Got it. Yeah, it's interesting. Everybody was fighting Amazon, but they realized there's so much traffic. You can't think of some sort of distribution strategy through Amazon, but it's not frequent that it's the exact same products at the exact same time. So that'll be interesting to see. Blake, what about you?
I'm gonna go with Hasbro, which debuted Play-Doh for adults
Guys,
recently.
I love this. You should see
It's
the pictures.
called Blooms by Play-Doh. That's the name of the brand, and they've got adult crafting and home decor products. I think it's a great idea because there are so many grown adults I know that are really into Legos, and apparently, like, there's a huge resale market for old Legos, and as we all know, Legos are not cheap. And they, I think, win a ton of business outside of their core segment, which is obviously children. And I think Hasbro is testing to find out, can that work in other toy categories, right? I think it's a really natural segue going into Play-Doh. There's something about it that is kind of like DIY, home crafty, like it has an element to it that I think could work with adults. There's probably going to need to be a pretty big marketing push around it because I think until I really went digging for interesting things that retailers had done, this didn't really come up. So it wasn't really on my radar as a consumer. But I am very curious to see if this catches on.
Well, for me, this was like so cute because it's kind of like slime for adults, and slime is still really big for kids. And there's this whole adulting craze that, as you said, it's like everybody is, every Crayola, every childhood brand tapping into nostalgia is thinking about how do we help with hobbies and analog sort of moments. So I love it. I also thought you guys might talk about Home Depot and how they they're doing some interesting loyalty expansion with other partners, including a food, Jimmy John's, where if you're a member of the Jimmy John's loyalty program and the home, but it has to be the Pro Extra, so the construction people. I forgot what they're
Yeah, I
called.
wanted to use that as one of mine, but I couldn't figure out what bucket it would have fallen into.
Yeah, same here.
I put it in under the radar, but I mean, I guess it could have been in a lot of buckets. Just nobody really knew about it unless you're following the news, but it's very clever.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyways, the greatest under the radar move is Play-Doh. Blake.
That's right. Couldn't get swept.
Well,
This is the right. Suzy made the right choice on this one.
so that's a wrap. Let's go back through the awards. Award number one, most impactful campaign, went to Nike for their off the script campaign. Award number two, best in real life initiative, was Lego, who went all in on the World Cup. And number three, greatest under the radar move, with Play-Doh leaning really into the kidulting craze. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you, Karen.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Becky.
Happy to be back.
And thank you, Blake.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks to the team who edits the podcast, and of course to our listeners. Please leave a rating or review, and remember to subscribe. I'll see you next Wednesday for more Reimagining Retail, and we'll be back with the UMRAs at the end of August. And on Friday, you can join Marcus for another episode of Behind the Numbers.